Welcome back to Kanoi Wanyayi broadcast with Sangwadzi Spiwe Kachizama Fumo. We'd like to welcome you all. I see some of our followers are coming in. Tarisai, Moroi from UK. Good. Tapinda Sangwadzi, great. Call all your friends and share and like and share so that we can watch this broadcast together. Toda kukutambira ipano pakanoi Wanyayi broadcast neni Sangwadzi Spiwe Kachizama Fumo. Aiwa tikudaidza vese. Vari ku-England, vari ku-UK, vari ku-Scotland, vari ku-New York, vari mu-Canada, vari where else? Australia. We get all people following us from everywhere. Every Sunday, I'm here with you, talking to you, sharing very important topics with some of our guests. Nasi tinemurendo wedu pano, the Jonathan Denga, and tell everybody to come and join us. We've got a fabulous lineup of what we're going to talk about today. All those in Mutoko, please join us and let's share this with our friends and family and anyone who might be interested in listening to what we're talking about. Today's topic, this is too exciting. I'm just so excited to have our guest here, Jonathan Denga, a former international model who is now a businessman and will be talking to us about grooming and etiquette. This is very important. You cannot overlook this kind of stuff because a lot of people mistake a lot of washing, grooming, and putting on nice clothes and being effective. When it comes to business, people go for business interviews and also even the corporate organizations themselves. When you call for people for your organization for interviews or just relating with other international business people or local business people, what is it that is expected of you? And a lot of times people don't really know. It's just like, well, we've got an interview this afternoon or we've got a meeting this afternoon. But people not really knowing how to package themselves. But we've got somebody who knows it. He was a model himself. I mean, look at Jonathan. Goodness me. I mean, it's years back, but you're still looking fabulous. And I know you've learned quite a lot from it. First, I would like you to come in and welcome our followers and tell them who you are and briefly your background other than what I've talked about, just briefly, and then tell us your mutupo, because in Mutoko, that's what we do. When we have somebody who is visiting a guest, they always, tell us their mutoko, and we always address people with their mutupo so that we know who you are. And then we can go into the program. Go right in and welcome everyone.
Fantastic. Sangwazi, thank you so much. Auntie Spiwe, I will call you both. I will interchange between the two. So the mutupo is Zuruvi Nyamweda Vemabwe Machena. That's who we are. Veku guru uswa. Vemakome narira. Kanata kupinda mukutetemba our praise poetry. It goes further than that. But this is Zuruvi Nyamweda Moyondizo.
This is heavy. I mean, I've met a couple of Nyamwedas and Moyondiros, but this is like really beautiful. You know who you are, and that's how you market yourself. Know your brand. That is fabulous.
Indeed.
So tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit of who you are, Jonathan.
Well, Jonathan Denga. I was blessed to be chosen to to enter and compete in the modeling world, in 1996, I got an opportunity to compete in the supermodel in Zimbabwe and was chosen as a super male model for the first time in the history of Zimbabwe. They had a super male model, and I then fortunately took my career through to South Africa, to England, to New York, to Milan, to Spain, and all over the world over the last, over a period of 15, 17 years. I was doing my things and doing my stuff in the modeling world and really, really stepping onto the catwalks in the various fashion capitals of the world. We interacted with a various number of brands on a very, very global platform. A number of global campaigns. We did stuff with Vivienne Westwood, which was global. We had commercials that went global for Budweiser, etc. I had commercials showing, and I had some of my commercials showing at the Super Bowl, at the famous halftime Super Bowl in the world. We interacted with many, some of the top of the brands in the world today. So it was a great journey and I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I think it was a great time spent, well spent indeed.
Wow, that's a fabulous way of introducing yourself because I think you've said it all better than I could have. Because all I know is you were you were chosen to be a male model, and I've seen you. I've known you from the time when you were in high school. You were a young man in Air Zimbabwe,
Absolutely.
and now I'm talking to a businessman who now is talking about some of the experiences, your experiences and turning
Indeed.
those into a
Indeed.
business. And I think that is fabulous because that's what we want to do. Going to school and being exposed to these things should not end there, should be
Absolutely.
translated into something
Absolutely.
else.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
And to be a look, just the global travel experience gives you the ability to transfer cultural knowledge that you have learned on the different continents, and then you bring it home, and then you transfer it to the locals to help the locals, pick up their businesses and pick up their business cultures so that they can begin to rise up to the global platform and be able to compete on a global platform. And that then gives you an opportunity to excel in what you do by just sharing the experiences and the interactions with international business sectors and international business personnel, and bring it in here and give the people an opportunity to raise their game so that they can be able to be global, since we now live in a globalization, in a global village.
We do. We do. And a lot of times my observation, maybe not from your point of view as a trained model or who is in this kind of business development, my observation is people take things very lightly. Uh,
Indeed.
you, yeah, business which are blue chip businesses and based in Zimbabwe. And don't get me wrong, I am not trying to run down businesses in Zimbabwe. They're doing the best they can under such circumstances.
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
you know what? He who tells you how to, to up your game is your best friend. And when you are dealing
Absolutely.
with somebody, if you call an organization or a company out there, people take things lightly. You
They
send a
do. They do.
message, people do not respond to text messages or those things, they matter. It looks like
Mhm.
something very minor, but it goes a long way in a global village, in a global setting. Things don't work like that. You
No, they
check the
don't.
bank and they send you a message right there and then, and you respond to it. And
Absolutely.
so if anybody is coming from an outside world, not in Zimbabwe, and coming to do business with an organization, a company, which is the corporate companies, or whether big, small, or selling vegetables or whatever, there are certain levels that people should follow. There are certain standards that people should follow. There is a certain perception that you should, portray to other people or look at things. And so it's very important. And I think what we are saying is I think it's a good segue into our conversation today.
True.
When
True.
you are talking about, let's start with grooming. We don't want to go too far. Let's start with grooming, and then we're going to go into etiquette. I'll chime in, but I want to give you the stage to talk to us and also those who are following us on things that they should observe, things that they should be mindful of when doing business. I'm hearing a little cur in your background, and I know it's disturbing you a little bit. I can't hear you now.
I
Okay,
was saying, just give me a second.
okay, all right. We'll hold on. But while Jonathan is doing his thing in the background there, those who are following, I think the idea here is so that we can learn some things that we need to change. And you know, you can, when you know better, you do better. And one can always say, I've always done it this way, or our company has always done it this way, or you know, why Joshua, I know it's a mufunge, but you know, we can't carry on like that because we expect better. And for organization, for anybody who is following us, who is listening to this conversation, um, it makes a difference how you handle your business and how you deal with people or clients or customers. It makes a difference. It makes a difference on your bottom line. Go in and
Of
tell us
course.
what you talk about. We can talk about grooming and how that matters a lot. There is more to it than just putting on a suit and a tie and my socks and your shoes and go. Talk about that, and then you talk
Okay.
about us about cleaning ourselves. It sounds very basic, but hey, we're gonna go there. Ndiri Sangwazi, and we are
All
going
right.
to go there.
Sanguas, just to start, just as a basis, people need to understand that grooming is done with an understanding of the purpose of why you need to be groomed. So the way I talk about it is that I make people understand that you are a personal brand. Each and every single one of us is a personal brand. Now, when you're a personal brand, you need to be nurtured, you need to be cared for and be given attention, and to be packaged right to be able to interact in the marketplace. So, when we are now talking about you as a personal brand, and when you understand that you're a personal brand, and understand that whatever it is that you do physically or communication or appearance says something about your personal brand, you begin to take each and everything in your life very seriously, which is where we start with grooming. Now, when we talk about grooming and spirit, we're talking about the fundamentals as the basic foundation of a well kept brand, because your foundation starts even from just the bath in the morning or just the bath on a daily basis. Do you take a bath? How long do you take a bath? What does it mean to take a bath? Where do you scrub? etc. What are the sensitive areas on your body where odor can hold, which you then need to deal with? And then we talk about skincare. How do you then take care of your skin in this world of climate change? The temperatures, what do they do to your facial skin vis-a-vis your body, your body skin? So all those things need to be understood. That as you begin to develop and understand that you package your brand right, you need to have good skincare protocols, and then dental care. You need to look after your teeth, look after your mouth. What does it mean? What you eat becomes what you breathe. And it's essential to understand that your teeth need to be taken care of, your mouth needs to be clean with no bad breath, without anything repulsive which can affect brands or those that you're interacting with in the marketplace. Feet hygiene, hand hygiene, the socks that you wear, for my gentlemen, do you change them on every day? The shoes that you wear, do you change your shoes on a daily basis? Because you have to alternate leather every 48 hours. Washing your hands. When you get into the bathroom, what do you do? Do you wash your hands? Do you dry your hands? Do you hold the door handle with wet hands? All those little nuances are the things that begin to build your personal brand. That's where we begin and start to talk about an individual's personal brand. Because before you step out, you've got to be able to clean yourself from within. So that's where we start from Antispirit and talk, and we can get into greater detail. We can get into depth with it. If you have time, you can let me know what subject you may want to add us to dig deep in, because that's the foundation. Without that understanding of nail care, without understanding of hair care, without understanding of feet care, you cannot begin to talk about yourself as a brand. You cannot begin to talk about yourself in terms of business, because who are you going to talk to when you don't have the right kind of decorum, when you don't have the right kind of scent, when you don't have the right kind of hairstyle, the right kind of shoe, the right kind of outfit? Before we even talk about what you're going to put on, how are you put together in terms of your hair care, your lip care for my ladies, your nail care, your pedis, etc. And then we go back, I mean, we go further to talk about your dental hygiene. We talk about, even your body odor, which is a very repulsive thing in terms of interacting with humans. When you have a bad odor, you are actually what I call a customer or an individual repellent, because nobody wants a bad odor, which is the reason why when people are looking for you, or when dogs and police are looking for you, chasing after you, they make you smell your clothes first, because every one of us has got a different scent. But it doesn't mean that the scent that you have is the scent that I have. And it doesn't mean that I like the scent that you have. So which is why it's important to understand the protocol that comes in terms of looking after your body scent. If we
Okay.
may start there.
Okay. You know what? You said it all, but it's we have to unpack it. We have to
Let's
unpack.
unpack it.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
We first and foremost, you talked about everybody's an individual brand, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's not everybody who's in marketing here. So and it's a word that has been that's coming up quite often when we talk about,
Indeed.
my brand is this, my brand is Sangwads, and my
Exactly.
brand is those kind of things. Maybe you need to explain that, because you know what, I can throw in my understanding of brand. I like to give an
Okay.
example by like kids who are here, McDonald's. Even a 2-year-old who can't even speak, they see the yellow M and they start crying
Mhm.
because they want. They want, because it's a brand which is there. Coca-Cola is a world-known brand. Kana mbuya
Absolutely.
vasingagone kutaura chirungu, who can't speak English, if they go into a shop, even if she want the orange drink, she'll say, I want a Coca-Cola, because it was well
Absolutely.
told, right?
Because it's a
So,
strong
yes,
brand.
it's a strong brand. So when we're talking of an individual as a brand, are you saying, um, how do I want to be seen? How do I want to be perceived? How do I want to be accepted in creating a
Indeed.
brand of my own self as an individual? Am I correct on that?
Absolutely. Very correct. For example, Sangwazi, if you have a bad breath, you become branded as the man or the woman with the bad breath.
Not good. Not good
Not good
at
at all.
all.
At all.
And
So
it's true.
that is branding. If you are that woman who lives in the corner in the townships that we lived in some time ago, if you are there and everybody comes to get the news about the area and you become the Amaive Makuwa, that becomes your brand.
Okay, so in this scenario, we are talking of what we're trying to discuss here is setting a brand that is acceptable, a brand which is
Absolutely.
marketable, a brand which is
Absolutely.
loved by everybody. Everybody wants to be
Indeed.
loved. Everybody wants to
Absolutely.
be known that, like, this is so and so who is top of the situation.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what you are saying is, when we're talking about those colossal amount of descriptions, you talk about cleaning and bathing and the mouth and chi and all those kind of things. Um, how do we start? How do we start? I wake up in the morning and I tell myself I have to wash myself. It sounds like a
Indeed.
basic thing. Everybody wants to go, you go into the shower and you run the shower and, out you go. And, you face that way and you're going. And if you're a woman, you pick your wig up. Well, wig is the thing. Everybody's doing hair
And
and
you're good to
whatever.
go. And you're good to go.
And you go. And that's not it.
You
That's
have to really, you see, because Anticipio, if we don't put an understanding of the end game to it, people won't understand why they need to bath.
Mhm.
If you understand that you are representing a brand out there, and the best marketer for your personal brand is you. Now, if you don't take that 12, 15-minute shower to scrub your body thoroughly in all the areas where bacteria accumulates, which has got the danger of producing odors. If you don't do that, that's where the brand crashing starts, because all those little things begin to build on your brand. And when you don't brush your teeth properly in the beginning, it already affects how your brand is going to be placed in the marketplace. When you don't groom your hair Groom your beard for us, gentlemen. It already communicates on what your brand is going to say out there. So you take a good bath in the morning, 12 to 15 minutes, and then you do your dental care, your hair care, your lotions. You put your face lotion, your body lotion, and your roll on. Your underarm is critical because that's what begins to create bad odors. A lot of people, particularly locally in Zimbabwe, don't even know what roll-on is. And I'm very tough to my Zimbabwean men because Zimbabwean men, as much as we've become successful, but quite a number of us are still very traditional in the way that we think. We tend to think that things like roll-ons, deodorants, and things like that are really things for women. But if you look at the world we live in today, it's no longer like that. We have evolved in terms of culture. A smell of sweat is not a definition of a man who works hard. You know,
Masculinity,
exactly.
machismo, but no, that doesn't
Absolutely.
fly. That does not fly at all. No.
I mean, calluses on your hands is not a demonstration of the hardest worker, the man who works the hardest. So it's all those things that we need to understand that when you're building a brand, that's where it starts from. Before you even open your mouth and get out into the public space. That's what you look good, you smell good, you are put together well, and you've taken a good bath. Let's start there as a foundation. Once we then start there as a foundation, you can then package it or add on the necessary education to then substantiate that packaging and then add the necessary skill set to be able to get you to fly. Then we are now building a strong brand.
That's a point there. Because I've seen some gentlemen right there, their MBA, whatever, but no, it's not flying. I mean, start conversation with them and you're like, I think this should end, and I think it's time for me to jettison and get the hell out of this conversation because it's just not doing. Because I think it takes a lot of just we Zimbabweans were really, really great with education. We respect it and
Absolutely.
we
Absolutely.
talk about it, and nothing wrong with that. But I think on the other hand, we should understand there is something else that comes with it. And I know a lot of people say, I don't need to do that. I've got my education. And if you don't
Yeah.
like me, that's just too bad. Actually, the world would, if it doesn't like you, it will just let you go. You can send all
Exactly.
kinds of resumes, you can go presentation, you can have somebody who say, oh, okay, I know so and so, they'll link you up. There's nothing wrong with networking and all that stuff. But the moment you show up there with nails which are talons like that, and with the
Mhm,
nose,
mhm.
the hair coming out of you, the wig coming out of you. That's poor grooming. I will say it. I know if you say to somebody you are too much, it is true. Because when we're talking of this grooming, we are not just talking. Jonathan, you said it well. You wash and you use deodorant and shave, or if you've got a beard nicely trimmed and whatever, everything is in order, right? And when you put on your suit, put the right suit. Don't go with an
Indeed.
orange suit for an interview. Don't go with
Absolutely.
there are some
Absolutely.
things that just don't do. I suppose, Jonathan, you come into that to tell us the kind of things if you are going for an interview, what kind of
Absolutely.
suit. I
So
can chime
now,
in on the ladies. You talk about the men. I can chime in on the ladies.
now, Sangwazi, we have now passed, we have now prepared ourselves. We are now moving on to the next stage. How to package that being, how to package that brand. And I can I can go across the border and speak. I can talk to the males, I can talk to the females. We need
Okay.
to then understand that when you are packaged, it is what people are going to look at. That's what you sell out there. Before people even ask you to open your mouth, they look at how you're put together well. So it is important to understand the philosophy or the science behind putting your clothes on. Clothes are not just taken and put on and you go. You have to understand five simple little things. That number one, all garments were originally, from the founding times of dressing and clothing, clothes were designed to end at a joint. What do I mean by that? If you are wearing a trousers, it should end at the ankle. If you are wearing shorts, they should really end at the knee. If you are wearing a short sleeved shirt, it's designed to end at the elbow, long sleeved at the wrist, and then at the neck, and they meet on the waist bone. So with that understanding, you'll then understand that a mini skirt is a trend. Cargo pants or capri pants are a trend. Three-quarter jackets are a trend which comes and goes. But the traditional way of how clothes were put together, which will outlive any trend, is that clothes are designed to end at a joint. Why is that? Because when clothes end at a particular joint, it gives your body symmetry, which is the second thing. Your body, when you dress, there's got to be the perfect symmetry between your upper and your lower body to create a beautiful silhouette which balances your lower and your upper body, which is what makes dressing fantastic. Now, the third
Wow.
thing, the third thing when you talk about dressing is that all of us, male and females, want to have what we call a perceived narrow waist, which means that if you're an athlete, you have the ideal body. But some women have got big hips and narrow shoulders, so you want to accentuate the shoulders and make sure that you balance them with the hip. What do you do with that kind of dressing? Sometimes you want to put patterns where somewhere. How do you wear your patterns together so that they create the symmetry? So those are the little things that you then begin to put in terms of the science of dressing. And then you need to understand cuts. What is the style of dressing? Can you work with my body? Because you have to be very brutal with yourself in terms of understanding your body shape. Don't think that you're a particular body shape when you're not the other. Understand where the bulge is, the bigness is, the narrowness is, so that you can be able to get the right kind of style that sits and goes with your body, particularly to my women, because sometimes we wear, you can wear, an A-line skirt, but it doesn't sit very well on you, or you can wear a pencil skirt, it doesn't sit very well on you. Sometimes you may want to think a maxi dress will look good on you, but it doesn't look very well on you. Peplum skirts may not work well on you. So you need to identify what is your body type. What then do you need to wear? What is it that then gives you the most astounding silhouette, which makes people see you as well dressed from afar? So that's when it comes to dressing.
So who is going to teach us that now? Because me, I wake up in the morning, I look myself in the mirror, and me, I want to look like the hairberry. I would like to do that, but my figure is African, and it's got kind of
Mhm.
like in certain areas which are. No matter how I try, I mean, I could lose weight, I could do this and that, but you know what? It's shaped that way. So
Exactly.
how then am I going to? Who is going to tell me?
So, anti-spirit, there are things that I tell people. Number one, if you have the African body, you have what they call the triangular shape or the pear shape or the butternut shape, right? So it means you are very big on the hip line and very narrow on the waist and the shoulders. So what then do you need to do with a body like that? You then submerge your hip line by wearing solid dark colors on the hip, or skirts that just sit on the hip line and just drop on the sides. And then you accentuate your upper body by creating color, a lot of drama on your upper body, so that it balances with what is happening at the bottom. That is the simplest lesson that I give to a lot of my African women. That way, you then create that balance between your upper and your lower body. But the simplest way nowadays, with the world that we live in, being a global village now, one of the simplest ways of knowing what to do with your dressing is that you can identify a celebrity or somebody very famous who has a similar type of body shape as yours. And then what you can do is that you can pick up certain styles that they put together, which make them look good. And that way you can begin to put your wardrobe together. Why do I say that? For a person like Oprah, for instance, she'll probably have 10 stylists who bring in all kinds of various types of styles and that work with her. Now, you can benefit from just identifying how she puts that wardrobe together, the cuts that she puts together, by you watching how she puts her anatomy and ensemble together without you even having to pay a stylist. Does that help you? Is that
Yeah,
what?
yeah. No, it does make it makes sense. It makes sense. However, I would like to say there are people who are we are moving into ethnocultural kind of clothing, and I think it's really beautiful. Personally, I really think I'm all
Agree.
big about this African clothes, and
So am I.
yeah. So again, it might not fit the what we're talking about, because I'm sure opera stylists, they don't dress her in colorful clothes that are African, because that's not her world. Us in our African whatever setting, we have our own kind of things, yes. But I do understand, I agree with you. There are certain cuts that work well with certain people, and certain complexions that work well with certain colors, and and
Indeed.
uh, and certain things that just don't. And I don't know. I find it the traditional colors. If you go to England, for instance, I personally don't. I have problems going there because I can't do any shopping, because everything is navy blue, it's gray, and
Oh,
yes,
yes,
and it's
yes,
really
indeed.
quite so bland, and
Mhm.
there are certain countries you go and they've got really colorful things. I'm all about color myself, and I know that you are.
The
Yes, and then
Latin speaking people love it. The Spanish,
Mhm,
the French, and the
mhm,
Italians usually have a
exactly.
lot of color.
And it looks beautiful, you see. But
Absolutely.
I agree with you, the shape of your body, it defines, because I there are certain things I like myself, but because
Mhm.
me, I've got like a back with an African back with my little hallelujah Africa at the back there, it just doesn't work. It won't work. So do
Absolutely.
not.
So, in as much as it is for
Mhm.
guys as well,
Don't
and
force.
Spirit, I mean, I switch between male and females because they said
Mhm.
for us gentlemen, there's a time that you can wear the tapered suits which are really really body fitting, but at a certain age and a certain time of your life,
Ex-
you now have a little bit of a of a of one, we call it the one pack,
uh-huh.
and your legs have bulged a little bit, so you then change your styling into a little bit of a double-breasted suits, longer jackets, etc, etc. And also there are men with wide hips and narrow shoulders. What do? You get nicely padded jackets with nice pants with no pleats whatsoever. So there's so many things that people can do in terms of dressing. And I mean, the reason why I always go back and say, watch this, watch that, you can take the style that works for that person, and then when you've taken that style that works, you can then take whatever fabric that you want to use to make the kind of style that works for you.
Okay. That's very interesting, because I've seen some of these celebrities wearing some nice jackets, but kind of like tightly fitted, and then I'll see somebody wearing that all the time, and it starts looking
It
silly. I
does.
didn't think
It
of it
does.
with an age, because at a certain age there are certain things you can wear, and some which you can't, both for men and women. I usually think in terms of women, because that's what I know, being a woman. But it's an interesting point to that. With men, of course, with age you pack a little weight here and there, maybe not a lot, but you don't look like you did when you were modeling yourself, because you are older now, right? You are
I'm
not
much.
fat,
I'm
you are not. Yeah, but you are fuller. Let me put it that way. A person gets fuller, and so should dress accordingly, right? And
indeed,
yeah,
indeed.
but that's very interesting. That's very important for everybody to know that.
Absolutely. And also, it brings us to another subject, Isangwanzi, that you always talk to me about when it comes to also pairing up your lifestyle with a bit of exercise and activity in there to control issues of weight. And that gives you a lot more confidence because the array and choices of clothes that you can pick up are so many and so much that you don't have to then worry about, oh, I can't wear this because now I've gained a little bit and this and that.
Mhm,
So it is important to then add in there in terms of our grooming a little bit of exercise and activity at least 3 4 times a week.
mhm. That's true. Easier said
Mm.
than done, but no, but I should say, you know what, Jonathan, last time I was in Zimbabwe, I was very, very impressed, because we were driving to go outside the city in the early in the
Mhm.
morning. and
Yes,
passed through Kuwadzan. And I
I
think
know.
probably 10, 15 people running in the morning.
Hundreds of people running on
Yes,
that
and it's
hill.
not like a thing in the border there or what those kind of areas. No, these are just ordinary people like you and me. They wake up in the morning, they know
Absolutely.
it's important. I was so impressed. I'm
It is,
maybe
it
more
is, it is
impressed than
great.
I am with people who I know here, who just like, because of work and all that, they just no time. But you have to create time. I was very impressed, both men and women. Madzmai, so amuka tracksuit, they are running, and I think it's very important.
It is a lifesaver. A lot of people don't appreciate it, but it is definitely a lifesaver. A little bit of activity on a daily basis, if you can, or every 2, 3 days,
Mhm.
is absolutely phenomenal for your heart, for your heart rates, for things like diabetes, blood pressure. All those things can be taken care of with those little bit of exercises. And for
Mhm.
me, from a grooming perspective, it makes you look good when you put on your clothes.
It does, because of COVID, a lot of people were working from home. We were wearing my track suits and just hoodies and whatever. And over the last 2 years, and then things are getting better now, and you try to fit in your clothes, they can't, and you can't just
Absolutely.
because you hate it, because nothing fits. You know,
And when that happens, when you don't fit clothes, as a model, we had to be a standard size 32 for a man and a standard size 42 chest. Now, if you just grew anything bigger than that, you will not get a job. So you had to maintain. And when you didn't fit into clothes that were made by designers, you would feel so horrible. That's
you
how
should.
bad not fitting your clothes does. So it is important to look after yourself. I am not saying everybody stay size 32 or
No,
size 40, 42. No, I'm saying at your size. If you're a size 48, if you're a size 52, if you're a size 36, 34 for a lady, maintain that. Try and keep that together so that you can play around with your wardrobe and increase your wardrobe in terms of what you can pick up to package yourself right.
Mhm. And when it comes to women, I think another thing that maybe you could talk about is accessories, how they are so important to package yourself. And it doesn't have to be expensive, like you were saying. All these things we're talking about, we're not talking about dress like
Breaking the
like
back.
celebrities. We are not saying
No,
go and buy those things that celebrities wear. You can actually have your clothes sewn by somebody as long as you've got the right things, the right material, and whatever to match
right cut.
your body. But accessories also is very important because one outfit could look so different with which is properly accessorized. Maybe talk
Yes,
about that.
yes. No, when we talk about accessories, the key word in terms of accessories is that less is more.
Mhm,
Do not overdo your accessories. I
mhm.
will start with shoes. Once you go above 6 inches, which is about 9.5 or 9 centimeters thereabouts, you're already gone way too far because it begins to look very uncomfortable and awkward. And many of us cannot carry those shoes for long, right? We want to talk about nail care because nail varnish is also part of accessorizing. What kind of nail varnish do you put? What kind of false nails do you put? You don't want to put like the claws that you were talking about, especially when you're in the professional setup. It says a lot about you. Your hair is an accessory. What kind of hair do you wear? What kind of no hair do you wear? Like you have? Do you have the right kind of shape of a head to carry no hair? Because some women don't have that kind of head. So it is important to then understand, what do I accessorize it with? The belt, the waist breaking belts. What thickness should they be? Above 5 centimeters, it can become a little bit slutty. So try and keep them as sleek and trendy as possible, but no more than 5 centimeters. We're talking about scarves. What kind of color scarves can you wear? What's your skin tone? Eyewear. What eyewear can you wear? What kind of face do you have? It determines the frame of glasses that you get. It determines the frame of sunglasses that you wear. So all those accessories matter. What jewelry can you put in your hands? What jewelry can you wear on your neck, on your ears? Some people like to have those five those 5 holes on their ears.
And
It
one
doesn't look
here,
good.
and one here,
Absolutely.
and
I
one
know somebody who
here.
has got one on the nose. All those issues, it says a lot about your character. I know that there's issues of freedom and rights and there's rights of expression and so forth. But when you're talking about brand packaging, you would not find a McDonald's in the slums of Brazil. Why? Because they understand the target market. So when you understand your brand and your personal brand and where you want to take your personal brand, it will determine all these little things that we're talking about. It will determine how you bath and put yourself together, how you smell. It'll determine the kind of clothing that you decide to wear. It'll determine the kind of accessory that you're going to wear. It'll also determine the etiquette or the decorum that you need to carry yourself with when you get into the public space.
The people who are following us, are you hearing this here? And don't say Sangwadzi, hey, we don't know these things. Here's the man himself is telling us, I'm learning, you're learning. This is very, very important information that we're talking about. And
Yeah.
now I would like to be specific, maybe a bit more specific, because we're talking about a
Let's
lot,
do that.
whole
Let's
range
do
of
that.
things, right?
Let's do
And
that.
which is cool, because everybody will have to pick a little bit of here, there, here, there. But let's talk about going for a job interview, which is, I think, is very important. Let's be specific about that. A lot of people, how you write your resume determines whether somebody is going to call you or not, right?
That's where it starts.
We're not going to talk about resume writing, but let's just say you have sent your application, or you got your connection who said, look, I've got this person who is head hunting or whatever. You've been called to go for an interview. You are a male. You spoke about the kind of suit you need to wear, but talk about the specifics that we have to be mindful of if you are invited for a job interview. What are the basic things that you should always keep in mind? That
The
would put
first
you in a
thing,
safer, which
yeah.
puts you in a safer space, because you might want to go there and hit it in like that, just like, yeah, the diva. They tell us about what you need to.
So the first thing that you need to understand, first of all, is that who is your target audience and who's going to be interviewing you. It'll be great to have an understanding of the company that you're going to be working with, because it then advises you in terms of the degree of dress sense that you need to have. All right. So because we may say, look, you must wear that Giorgio Armani suit, the one that sits on you perfectly, but then you're going to be interviewed as a farm manager. It's not going to fly. Or you may be going to mine. So once you understand that, then you identify the right kind of clothing that goes with it. So you do not do too much when you're going for an interview. Let's say you're going to work in the financial services sector, for example. Financial services sectors are a very serious form of business. This is about people's money. So when you talk about people's money, you need to demonstrate the seriousness that is associated with people's money. And you need to then also communicate the balance that is associated with people's money so that they can trust you. So you don't go over the top or you don't go too below. For instance, what am I talking about? If it's a suiting, for instance, you go for a nice navy blue color and you go for a plain white shirt, and you can choose a tie, which can, if you don't want to be too overpowering with a red tie in a meeting, so you want to go a little bit of a blue, which is a warm color, which will complement your white shirt and your suit, and you then put up a nice derby shoe at the bottom with socks to match your trousers or your shoes, and your belt and your shoes to match your belt. Done for a man. For a lady, a beautiful two-piece suit. You can put it nicely underneath. You can put a nice camisole, or you can put a shirt underneath, or you can put a pussy bow. You can find a nice kind of blouse that is very subtle, which doesn't shout, which just tones down the suit color and brings out a little bit of the color on your chest. And you can be able to go in there and really sit and communicate formality and sell your professionalism on the backdrop of professional dressing. That's for the financial services sector. If you're invited to a business casual type of meeting where you need to put on a sports jacket for a gentleman with a nice shirt and an open collar, and then you put on a separate color pants and a nice maybe loafer to go with it, and a nice set of socks and belt to go with it, that works. For ladies, a nice set of pantsuit can work. You can put a pantsuit, or you can get just a nice skirt and a nice blouse to go with it. Beautifully finished, nothing overdone, very minimalistic.
Earrings, because I think that's one thing, because I've seen people wearing chandeliers, and I mean, you are there, and I mean, they're these dangling things, and it's overwhelming. People are or you're going for an interview and you're dressed with a dress which is, all the milk is out there.
Yeah,
It might look
absolutely.
trendy, it might look fashionable, but I think people have to be careful how it will be perceived. I mean, I'm all about supporting women's rights and how they, but there's a certain decorum which is expected, and so
from a woman.
you can go the way you want, and but are you going to get the results that you want from what you are doing? I think that's also very important. To talk about, very minimalistic. If you're going to wear earrings, be simple, because you have no idea how this person is going to perceive you. All you
Indeed.
do,
So,
put your best foot forward, right?
yeah, on a minimalistic pace that you're talking about, for a woman, for instance, in terms of lip color, it's just good to just blend your lips and give them a little bit of a gloss to just shape, to show that there's a shape of lips. Understand that you need to put on just a tiny bit of makeup. You don't have to look like a corpse. No, just a tiny bit of makeup with few little blushes here and there if need be, but not necessary. Understand the kind of colors that go with your face. And you're talking about the nail care and the earrings, dots, pearls. Pearls have an understated elegance that they carry, and they're not shouting. They're just very simple and very straightforward to the point. Don't wear dangling earrings, like you're saying. Don't wear clothes when you're going to an interview, because when you're talking, when you're speaking, your earrings have become the center of attention, and your nails become the center of your attention. So you need to be very minimalistic. A French manicure with nice tips works perfectly. You don't have to be overdone. Communicate, sell more of who you are. From a woman's perspective, we say, Sangwazi, we say, when you show cleavage, show skin, you are showing your vulnerabilities. And when you demonstrate your vulnerabilities, the people sitting on the other side begin to question why it is that you have the desires to demonstrate your vulnerabilities to us. And what then generally happens when you demonstrate your vulnerabilities, if there's a panel of men, they can even pounce on you. You can then get offended and it doesn't end well.
No, it won't.
Yeah.
No, yeah, because they know if anybody pounces on you, I'll pounce back, and it's not going to end well. There's a question here. How about ethnic wear and natural hair for women?
I'm an advocate for natural hair. I'll be very honest and to spirit. I love the natural African hair. But what I have a problem with a lot of my African women is that when we say let's go natural, they just leave it nyangarara. It doesn't even look like it's been washed. We as traditional African, we have feso. That was our shampoo to nourish and nurture our hair so that we give it life and make it look well put together and well natured. I do not have a problem with it at all. I love it as long as it's well natured, well taken care of, looked after, so that it doesn't look like somebody's just woken up and gone to wherever they're going with blankets in their head and so forth. And from a traditional wear, there are colors with a lot of traditional outfits today that
Mhm.
are quite toned down, which we have little details of traditional wear on them, which can be worn in a formal setup. You can make skirts with very traditional outfits
Mhm.
and less toned down colors. What we try and avoid from a traditional perspective is to try and avoid the big ball gowns, the fishtails, and the big hairdos, the big Nigerian. Then it doesn't work from a professional setup. But if you want to take it to the professional setup or to a work environment, you can tone it down. And when it's toned down and then you add the innuendos of the Eurocentric shirt here and there, or the nice shirt with a nice set of pants, it works fantastic.
I have seen some amazing, amazing stuff coming out from Africa,
Indeed.
when it comes to fashion, and younger people. I think young fashion designers, they are just coming up with amazing things that are being stolen by the big names, and selling
Absolutely.
them. Yeah, yeah, and really, like you're saying, I've seen some, like a real formal work suit in an ethnic and looking absolutely beautiful. And
Divine.
of course, like
Yes.
you're saying, when you're going to a wedding, you're going to a party, I can go my gala and do whatever, and
Uh-huh.
I will step in there and look so regal. And really, there is absolutely nothing wrong with African wear, and
No,
it's actually
absolutely.
the trend. It's becoming a trend. Yes, true.
I love it. I love it. And it's an expression of who we are as a people, and we need
Mhm,
to embrace it and really
mhm,
step out with it and really stand our ground. I mean, you'd not tell, I mean, the Mandarin color of the Chinese, they do it. I mean,
Yes.
so what about us?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And then that's the way we're going. And a lot of us are really just getting into it in everything. Look at how people are getting married now with that traditional.
absolutely.
It's so beautiful. It's just so
Yes, let's
African.
embrace it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Because we are all about color. You spoke about the colors in London. The colors in London make sense. The grays, the navy blues, the blacks, they
cold.
make sense because it's cold. But we are Africans. We've got all the weather to express yourself, to express the color, to look fabulous.
That's very true. That's well, anyway, because we were talking of the whole setting of like when you're going for a job interview, which I think is very important. Michelle goes location, 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 not what to wear and what not to. Grace Case Gogo Sangwadzi. Tashika Opano watching from Harare, etiquette is a real big issue kwatiri where ganda redu it is true because we do not realize things that are offensive. And when I say offensive, I'm not saying somebody who say something rude to you. To me, if you are late for a meeting, it's very
That's
offensive.
that etiquette.
I mean, I
Absolutely.
come to a meeting and you don't, or I send you a message expecting a response and you do
And you
not.
don't respond.
That is offensive. So that's part of the etiquette. We have to understand this email etiquette. For instance, if somebody sends you an email, how to respond to it on time, and it's very important. And for people who just like, Andy Chawia, Andy, I'm on my way, and they'll be like 2 hours you're waiting for them at their office. That's ridiculous. I have time, I have things to do, and people don't show up. You have things to do, you don't show up. And you've got a guest coming up and they wait for you for 2 hours and you've been in communication with them for a week that you are coming for a meeting. That's so sad. IVC says this is very interesting. Fundamentals, everybody is an individual brand. Protocol of taking care of your body, package your brand, your body talks a lot about your looks, astounding silhouette. That is just absolutely amazing. I think
Oh,
we're
wow.
yeah, we
Wow.
have like 8 minutes left, and you look how fast this thing went. It's almost like I need to have a second part of this thing, but it's
Yes,
important
we can.
that
Yes, we can, because
bringing
then we
in.
can talk about etiquette. Because anti-spirit, etiquette is a whole subject on its own. Because we can talk about dressing etiquette, dining etiquette, driving etiquette. We can talk about business etiquette, social etiquette. What are the guiding principles? What are the rules that are associated with Ubuntu? How do you become in society? So it's a whole subject on its own, which we can even spend a good hour on just talking about etiquette and its founding principles. We then tend to think it's Eurocentric. It's not. It's Hunu, Tsika, the things that made us who we are as Africans. We actually embrace it so much more than the Western world in terms of advancement, but they have taken it and taken it to another level, and we have gone the opposite direction. So etiquette, I'm very passionate about it. Things like being late, like that you're talking about, talking in front of other people, talking over other people, not listening to other people. When do you have what kind of conversation, what volume, tone of voice? There's a whole lot of array and subjects and sangwas that we can really get into in terms of etiquette.
Jonathan, can you come back next Sunday and talk about etiquette? How is your Sunday, please?
Wow. Okay. Let's see. And if I cannot come back next Sunday, we can probably do it the following one. But let's
Okay.
talk in the week, and then we can see either
Okay.
this Sunday or the following one.
I think everybody is agreeable with me here that we need to follow through with this conversation. It shouldn't just end with grooming, because we talked a lot about grooming, right? And we
Yes, we
talked
did.
about
Yes, we
we
did. Yes, we
yeah.
did.
If you don't get it right there, that's just unfortunate. We talked about everything, well, pretty much everything about grooming, but the etiquette bit of it, that's where we kind of like gnawing through, going towards, but we didn't really talk about that. And I would like for you to talk about that, because
Of course.
etiquette, there are expectations of what's to be done, the proper
Indeed.
decorum,
Indeed.
yeah, and
Yeah.
how to talk to people and what's expected. And those are sound like very little things, but they are not. That's what makes a package, a brand
Aha. A
sellable.
true package. Yes.
Mhm,
Because
mhm.
you've dressed anti-spirit, you've bathed. But then when you speak to people, you speak on top of your voice. And you don't appear to meetings on time. You don't call people. You don't respond to people's messages. Then the whole demeanor goes away.
I am telling, because I have seen things like that. You see a nicely dressed woman, and when you're standing there, you're not saying anything. You just, but the moment you go there, takes a chewing gum, throws in there, or a man, you're talking to him, and you're telling him, so when do you work? So when did you come? And it does, and it's not the accent. Yes, it's those little things. Why are you doing that? Because if somebody's going to stop and say, "Excuse me, why are you doing that? Why are you chewing like that in front of me?" And I'm eating with you lunch here, and you're talking and chewing at the same time. Sometimes we miss these things not because, and when we say it like this, it's almost like denigrating these people or running them down. But these are things that we know, we see all the time, but we are
Indeed,
not
indeed.
aware of it. But when we get somebody to come and talk to us like this, we'll be mindful of it next time.
Absolutely,
We think
absolutely.
twice, before you relate to people, before you react to people, before you deal with people. It comes back that we talked about this, and maybe I'm not really. We all have our little things. Everybody, including myself, we have our little things that we don't realize that it's not quite acceptable. So I think this is a
Absolutely.
learning stage. This is a learning curve. This is a platform where we bring people in who educate us. So we have 5 minutes. Tell us what you need to say about our conversation today and where we're
So,
going. See how if you come
so
back next week or not.
in summing up, Zangwazi, what we want to sum up is that the fundamental principle of building yourself is to understand that you're a brand. And a brand has got a value system. A brand has got what expectations, where it needs to be. A brand has got a vision, it's got a mission, and it's got all the elements that package it together. Now, all those things that we're talking about are all the what we call brand equity, which are the elements that build that brand, which then gives you your brand status in the marketplace, right? Because when you dress well, when you bath well, when you speak well, when you have the kind of qualification skill set, the sky's the limit. And just to add something, when you then have the talk, they say in etiquette, good manners can open the best doors that education cannot. That's
Mhm.
Emily Post,
Amen.
one of the leading etiquette specialists in the United States. So when you have that anti-spirit, you must understand that anywhere you go, people will take you based on how you make them feel. People want to deal with people who make them feel good. When you have the aura and the decorum of somebody who's headed somewhere, everybody wants to be a part of you.
Mhm.
And it's easy to then sell your brand in the marketplace. So it is important to take care of the details because those details matter. That toenail that's not cut, that hair that's not cut, that cleavage that's showing, the crack at the back, the ashy heels, all those details are the issues that you have to take care of if you want to be a successful national and global brand.
On that note, Moyondijo, I would like
Thank
to
you.
thank you for coming to be my guest today. And my followers, I would like to assure you, I had lined up somebody who was going to come next week to talk about how to market our podcast, and everybody's going TikTok, everybody's going on the social medias and whatever. But there are so many, everything has got its own etiquette. There are certain things that you need to do to build a brand and to enforce it. And this person, she's big with digital social media, this kind of thing. So she was going to come and talk to us. Anybody who would like to get into this social media thing, podcasts and whatever, skits and whatever, to tell us how to best do it and market ourselves and make it bigger. So I will see if I can work around Jonathan to come back next week to talk about etiquette, or I can swap the two of them. But the next 2 weeks is going to be one of the two. So stay tuned. Follow me on my Kanoi Wanyai or Sangwaji or Spiwe Kachidza Mapumo and say what's coming up. We'll be posting our promo on Wednesday, so you know what's coming up, and then you can share with other platforms, or where you are, so that we can get more more followership, more people listening to what we're doing. And Jonathan, thank you
Indeed.
so much. And everybody,
You're
you,
welcome, Sangwazi.
yes, thank you so much. And I will see you next Sunday on another, and I'm touching on another topic. Ndini Sangwadzi, Spiwe Kachidza Mapfumo. I love you all, and I know you love me too. So let's keep going. And, you know, it's going. I mean, Kanoe Wanya is going, is progressing, and we're all learning. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful evening, a fantastic
Thank you
afternoon.
so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.